Let's get talking now. This strategic approach by the Bola Tinubu to diversify Nigeria's economy, enhance efficiency, foster the development of sustainable initiatives, and position the country as Africa's largest economy is evident. It's a budget of renewed hope for 2024's fiscal year. With a focus on an international partnership, the country's economy is expected to experience significant recovery. But what are the prospects for 2024? For more on this, I'm being joined live in the studio. He's a lawyer by practice, but he's also the director of Nigeria's India of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Kunle Ajagbe. Thank you so much. It's good to see you in 2024.
Thank you so much.
Yes, but we still need to keep talking. A lot of issues lined up for the year, a lot of expectations, let's say.
Certainly.
Yes, we started from, I think, from Kenya. The president went to India. India went to Saudi Arabia. The president's been everywhere. Now the vice president is in Davos. Yeah. And the message is still the same. We want people to come invest in Nigeria. Nigeria is open for investment. We are going to remove all the no barriers. The president says he's going to run an open door policy. How far have we gone? Are we taking a step?
Okay, so thank you very much. We've started that journey. We are not there yet, but we've started on a good note. And so I think as far as getting off the starting block is concerned, yes, we are. Now, as far as meeting the targets that we have set, either for the federal government or state government level, I think it's a work in progress. And this is for any number of reasons, but it's good to just try and the context and narrow some of these things down. Now, the biggest elephant in the room, as it were, is security. And we cannot speak enough about security. That's a big issue. Where do we want to start? There are reports of kidnappings, just banditry, and so many other things like that across the country. So all of that is not good news for investors. In a way, money is cowardly. It will go where it's yours. So will investors. They will go where there's security. So that's something that needs to be fixed very carefully. Second thing, and perhaps this speaks to professional experience, is rule of law. There has to be that certainty. It takes too long to resolve business disputes.
Yeah.
Again, that does it for confidence. Now, again, we have started on that journey of attracting investors, but these are issues that needs to be fixed. We can go into so many. There's also the side to it that there's an optic about Nigeria as an investment destination that we need to address very carefully. You see, when the news out of the country that this multinational, that multinational is pulling out of the country.
I was going to ask that question.
It doesn't help.
It's not sending a good signal.
It doesn't send a good signal. Now, for all you care, these could have been business decisions. In the UK, just in the last couple of hours or so, Tata Steel, a major company, is scaling down, and so many job losses. So being causing a lot of anxiety. So I'm saying just give some context that these things are being reported in various places, not just in Nigeria alone, but in terms of Nigeria's, the optic is not always presented in the best of light, and it tells me that we still need to fix lining issues, two of which I've already identified: security and rule of major issues that we cannot run away from. Of course, the cost in Nigeria and the cost of doing business, not just the ease of doing business, but the cost of it these are major issues. Talk about security, it's not just about banditry, it's not just about kidnapping, but from years in the Niger Delta, for instance, you are aware that there has been oil theft.
Yeah.
Those are security issues. So it's not, it goes more than just, they are robbers, they are this, they are that, or police or the army. But if there's oil theft, if you are an IOC, well, it cannot be good news for you. Now, apparently the will is there to change these things, but we need more in terms of actualities. So let me just pause for there about some of the initial thoughts on these things.
Because for me, we've put pen to paper.
Yes.
And one thing is to put pen to paper. Another thing is see this becoming naira and kobo for Nigerians.
Correct.
One thing that everyone has also talked about, like the stories I read earlier, the airlines can't retrieve their funds.
Yes.
Central Bank now is trying to bridge this gap gradually. Verify claims. That's what the central bank is saying.
Yes.
Not just claims go anywhere. They will verify claims and make payments. Now, how long are we going to wait for us to start to see this trickle down? Medium term, long term. You know, what do we need to put in place?
Okay, so I wish there was a formula.
I guess.
Now, so for instance, these foreign airlines, they're foreign. So the money belongs to them. In other words, the money we pay for their ticket buy is going out of the country. The easiest way would be if Nigeria had a viable national airline that could take Nigerians abroad to whichever destinations they want. Sadly, we don't. At least not as this many were speaking. So in other words, to be able to plug the hole is that we have our own airline that is viable, that is competitive. Right now, it is not. Now, those airlines, they transacted business in Nigeria. They need to take their money out. Delay, but the money is theirs eventually. And
True.
I don't think the Nigerian government will be held to say you do not own this money. So the best that can be done, there has been delay in repatriating it. The same goes for so many other things too. What this all tells me is that the productive base of the economy, as we speak right now, is weak. And until that is sorted out, unfortunately, there would be those pressures on the naira because so much of what we need, so much of what we are dollar denominated. Now, there's no magic one, unfortunately. I wish there was, but sadly, there isn't. That explains why the cost of so many things on the upswing.
Let's look at sectors that can attract investment at this time. We've seen the Indian guys talking petrochemical, steel, Saudi Arabia talking about refineries, agriculture, tech is also a place where many can, because I was in Saudi Arabia and I heard Mr. Bosun Tijani talking, so Indian guys are so interested in tapping into the communications sector. What do you make of these sectors and their contribution to be moving forward?
I think the identification of these sectors is spot on. Again, perhaps to your list, I will add the creative economy.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a great area, that's a growing sector, and all the indications that Nigeria is going to remain a powerhouse, not just in West Africa, but globally of the creative economy. And I think that the right noises, as it were, has been made and is still being made about how much is going on. There's so much promise in that sector. Now, government, I think, should have learned from some of the errors of the past, which is stay back, don't necessarily try to control it, some of those things. Whereas the creative sector, we're in a period of energy transition. So we're already talking about compressed natural gas. Again, all of those things are areas that can attract investment. But that investment will come into a situation whereby there's a level playing field. There's a secure investment environment. There is rule of law, for instance. There's policy consistency. Those are some of the things that we need to address. And I must say, Nigerians have to be biggest investors in Nigeria. There's only so much that indirect investment can do. This is our country, and it has to be investing. It is by that, more than anything else, that will give the push to expatriates or whoever to invest in this country. Expatriates can invest in Nigeria more than Nigerians themselves, and so we have to generate and manifest that confidence in our own economy before foreigners pick up the gauntlet, as it were.
Making the environment attractive is something that is not very easy. Doing business is what comes in here. And when you look at what's been happening with government's move to address that, even the Taiwan-led committee is supposed to also address issue around taxes for companies that to make it more attractive. So my question really would be, what sort of conversation now do we expect? Ministry of Trade and Investment, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. What do you think they should be doing now to make Nigeria be the next? Everyone wants to, like the president said, should be your best friend. So how do you, what policies can we put in place?
Okay, so if I start from one of the points which you referenced, the Taiwo committee, I think it's initiative and the anticipation, I should say, is that the report and the after of it will lead to fiscal and tax policy reforms in Nigeria. Hopefully, there will be some harmonization of the tax regimes in Nigeria, particularly for businesses and even individuals, so that people have more disposable income and companies to have more disposable income. I think most people would like to pay less. I certainly would. But having said that, that's just one side of the picture. But trust me, if that is addressed, it will definitely give the right signal to the public, whether in Nigeria or globally, that there is movement in that space. But you see, all of the various stakeholders, whether it is the Trade Affairs Commission, the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, the federal government, the Ministry of Trade, the nationals, particularly a state like Lagos, for instance, which is still the premier investment destination, there needs to be harmonized, right? There's a Business Facilitation Act in Nigeria, right? And it's supposed to still, it was the end point of various initiatives for the purposes of ease of doing business. That, at best, is still work in progress. At the end of the day, that investor comes to Nigeria and gets to the airport or somewhere, and then he doesn't have a pleasant experience. It doesn't send the right signal. So you see, it's a whole chain of things that have to be harmonized. It's good that policymakers make the right pronouncement, fantastic, but it has to trickle down so that people in government or the civil service or in regulatory agencies,
about bureaucracy,
yes,
someone
they know that we fit into a piece, and that it's evolving thing. So the president goes, that announcement, meets with business, but what about the clerk in the ministry that, again, does not give you a pleasant experience, to put it diplomatically? So all of those things can either be the best of our intentions or undermine our intentions. My view is that we coordinated in a holistic manner so that what the right hand is doing, the left hand is aware. I think that is still work in progress at the moment.
Very, 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 very important. Moving on, let's stay with like the places we have in gas.
Yes.
Many have talked about this, and Nigeria has just reserves of gas in Africa.
Yes.
I think about 5 trillion cubic meters last I checked, and unproven reserves. And many will say, Nigeria, we have to take advantage of this. Look at what is in Russia and Ukraine, yes, and all of that. We're supposed to. So how? But we don't have infrastructure here, so we flare.
Yes.
You know. So what can we do, or what sort of? We had the PIA.
Yes.
And the PIA seems not to be polite for us to. But what do you make of that? And moving on, how can we harness the potential in this?
I think the PIA in the second hand is the best step. It's a step in the right direction.
Okay,
I will
step
not,
in the right direction.
Yes, I will not. And these are still early days for the Petroleum Industry Act. I would be careful not to pass a wholesome verdict on it yet. It has started. We've seen some industry reforms in the petroleum industry. So, and a number of it is on account of the provisions of the PIA. Now, it is true, Nigeria has abundant gas reserves. It has suffered, that industry, I mean, that sector has suffered from underinvestment for so long. Fortunately, we've had to flare gas. But I also referenced something earlier on. There are a few places where you have oil theft on the industrial scale we have had. Now, there are opportunities that we are also beset with. The war in Russia, the war in Ukraine, and the winter in Europe presents a need for alternative sources of gas supply. Not just this year's winter, but successively, there's always a need for gas. And that's the market for Nigeria. So again, policy attention, industrial and financial attention.
Very important.
It's a business. It's an opportunity, right? It presents opportunity for taxes for government, for employment for Nigerians, and so on. So I think policy, first of all, is there, but we need to put our money where our mouth is where I see the issues lying as far as gas utilization in Nigeria is concerned.
Indeed, I think we need to really do more. Now, let's go back to what the chamber is doing, because we have, like Nigeria, India, we have the likes. We can go on and on. Lagos Chamber, yes, there, we have the Nigerian British Chamber. What are you also doing, like, with conversation are you going to be having with government moving forward? Because this government seems to be open to the private sector. I want to listen from you. what sort of message are you going to be passing time to also make more of? Because many people believe that through the chambers, they can always access whatever they want to access. So what message are you sending at this time?
Okay, so the chamber engages a lot in policy advocacy,
Of course.
with, government and regulators, and part of it is still tied up to making the business environment friendly and much more conducive, both for companies in Nigeria and companies outside looking into Nigeria. So whether it is policy reform, we do a lot of both publicly and privately in that respect. I think we've achieved a lot, if I can be that immodest. And as you would very well know, the direction of foreign investment to Nigeria, a significant portion of it comes from Asia, specifically China and India. So, and that is anticipated direction for some years to come. And that's why the Nigerian India Chamber of Commerce needs to occupy that central position of being an ambassador for Nigeria and India. We continue to do policy advocacy more than anything else, policy reform as well, with both government and regulators.
Let me go back to you being earlier. What can be done to help address cases, speed up issues that have to do with business? I think we have arbitrators and they also help address business cases. But important that we don't have issues go so long, and at the end of the day, people just have to pull, don't have where to go. They're stopped, and they've put money in some of investments. Yes, honestly, how can we get it right and speed up issues? Maybe we have alternative courts to address business issues.
Okay, I wish.
Honestly,
it's a valid question, and on more than occasion, or in fact on multiple occasions, this problem has been raised. Again, there isn't one reason for it. I must be honest. Some of the blame lies in my own constituency, we the lawyers, and that's been very factual about this. But some of the other blame lies with stakeholders as well. And again, we all have to come together, realize that the justice sector, the legal sector is not just for the lawyers or the judges. The primary stakeholders are the public, right? And that it's a resource we are holding, and we have to exercise it with this of the public in mind. I'm not always certain that we realize that fact, that it's for the benefit of the general public, not for us, for the judges. There are so many reasons why cases are delayed. So many reasons. It's not one reason. I wish we could get to a situation whereby you file a case today and tomorrow it's disposed of. I will tell you quite frankly, it's not going to happen anytime. It's just not going to happen for too many reasons. But we are making some progress. It's just that it is quite slow, and it should be faster than it is. Having said that, Nigeria is not the only country in the world where we have a backlog of cases. It's just that if the degree of our own is on the other side. But I think there are conversations going on to change that landscape, and I do know it has to change.
What's your outlook generally?
Moderate optimism. There are a number of things that points in the right direction. We've already alluded to some of those things. But at the same time, too, just like you have opportunities, we have strengths, we also have challenges. True. And we need to be able to ensure that those challenges don't define the narrative.
Interesting conversation as usual. I've been speaking. He's a lawyer. I introduced him earlier as that, and he's also the director of the Nigerian Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Kulia Jagbe has been here. Breaks down for us investment drive of President. I wish you a lovely weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right, then. Well, coming up on the show, look at Nigeria's market sustaining this stellar performance.